The greatest TV show of all time. That has been the debate since television arrived in our homes. TVs were invented in the 1920s but became super popular in the 1950s when pretty much everyone had a TV and watched shows like Flash Gordon, Gunsmoke, and The Twilight Zone. Cut to 60 years later, and there have been thousands of TV shows, and thus the debate. What is the greatest TV show of all time? There are many contenders for this. Star Trek, Three Stooges, Doctor Who, Breaking Bad, The Office, Power Rangers, CSI, The Mandalorian, Law & Order, and so on and so on. So what is the undeniable greatest TV show of all time? Well, I have the answer. It's a show called The Man from U.N.C.L.E. When television was really hitting a boom period of popularity in the 1960s, Man from U.N.C.L.E. debuted and changed television forever. At the time, the James Bond movies were extremely popular. So creators Sam Rolfe and Norman Felton thought they could do a spy thriller like James Bond, but make it a weekly television show. And thus, Man from U.N.C.L.E. was born. A spy thriller epic airing every week. The story surrounds a U.S. organization called the U.N.C.L.E, or U.N.C.L.E, a spy organization trying to take down the terrorist organization, THRUSH, or Thrush. The show starred Robert Vaughn as Napoleon Solo, the best agent in U.N.C.L.E, and David McCullough as Ilya Kuryakin, his right-hand man. Together they worked together to take down Thrush every week, getting orders from the head of U.N.C.L.E, Alexander Waverly, played by Leo G. Carroll. I say Man from U.N.C.L.E is the greatest TV show of all time, and I genuinely mean that. Yes, shows like Breaking Bad are incredible with great acting, writing, and story, but the problem with that show and many others like it is the small budget holding it back. As most TV shows have a limited budget, unlike the movies. Shows like The Mandalorian, while being on movie-level quality, only have a few episodes every couple of years. Man from U.N.C.L.E has quality and quantity. They had phenomenal writing and acting as well as movie-level quality every week for 4 years. There are excellent fight scenes, shootouts, car chases, and explosions that would be reserved for movies. But here you were, seeing it for free on your TV. Today, it would be like if you saw a 40-minute version of Tom Cruise's Mission Impossible every week, which kept the writing and movie-level action. By the way, if you're enjoying this video, make sure to like and subscribe. We upload videos just like this one on our Remore channel. We upload a great new video every Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday at 3 p.m., so make sure you're subscribed with that bell pressed to get notified when we upload. We're trying to hit our goal of 1,000 subscribers, so if you subscribe, it would mean a lot to us. Man from U.N.C.L.E was super popular when it came out. Back then, there weren't that many shows to watch, but when Man from U.N.C.L.E came out, it changed the game. Most shows back then were usually westerns or comedies or horror shows. This was James Bond every single week. When it aired, it didn't matter what you were doing, everybody stopped and watched U.N.C.L.E. What also made this show great is the amount of star power they got for this series. Seriously, this has never been matched. Every episode they have somebody incredible. I'm just going to list out a few so you get the general idea. You have William Marshall, who played Blackula, Cesar Romero, who played the Joker in the Adam West Batman show, George Sanders, who played Shere Khan from The Jungle Book, Elsa Lanchester, who played the Bride of Frankenstein in the Universal film, Kurt Russell as a kid who went on to play MacReady from The Thing, Wyatt Earp from Tombstone, and Ego from the Guardians of the Galaxy. You also get Eduardo Cianelli, Alan Jenkins, and Jack LaRue, who all played gangsters in a ton of 1930s films. You have Jack Palance, who was a huge movie star doing Jack Nicholson's insane shtick before Jack Nicholson. You have Janet Leigh, who was the girl killed in the shower in Psycho. And finally, we have William Shatner, who played Kirk, Leonard Nimoy, who played Spock, and Ricardo Montalban, who played Khan. All iconic characters from Star Trek. That's just scratching the surface. There were so many other guest stars that were or went on to be big stars. There is some iconic memorabilia from the show, mainly the U.N.C.L.E gun, which was just the coolest. It's a pistol with all of the accessories in the world, and there was also the Thrush gun every Thrush goon has. It's a machine gun, but it has the biggest, most impractical scope you've ever seen. And everybody had it. I think I had it at one point, and I'm not even in Thrush. There was also the U.N.C.L.E car, which was just the coolest spy car in the world, with tons of gadgets and weapons. Although, to be honest, they didn't drive it that much, because as I've learned, there was no air conditioning in the car, and you couldn't roll down the windows since they were curved. As described by the actors, it was like a furnace in there. There were 4 seasons in total, and I'm just gonna go over them briefly. Season 1 was excellent, a classic black and white spy thriller. It was incredibly good and set the standard for the show. show. With incredible music, by the way, their music composers were amazing. Season 2 in color was an improvement in every way. The stories, the action, the writing, the stunts, everything was improved to an extreme degree. The fight choreography also bumped up this season, as they're doing karate and wrestling moves that look awesome. Normally in 60s action shows, you just tussle on the ground for a bit, but here they're doing Bruce Lee stuff. We'll get back to season 3 in a bit, I have a lot to say about that. But for now, let's talk about season 4. It was the best season in my opinion. It was a culmination of how far the show had gotten and one I would rewatch the most. Season 4 was also the most mature, with dark, intriguing storylines, great side characters, and epic adventures. Not to mention major moral dilemmas like control and freedom. Unfortunately, now we have to talk about the downfall of the show. In the mid-60s, when Man from U.N.C.L.E. was doing really well, a new show was also doing incredible. And that show was Batman 1966, starring Adam West. That show was campy and comedical. It was a very fun season that worked because that was the concept and the tone. A bombastic comic book show. But the problem is the Man from U.N.C.L.E. producers saw that and wanted to make Man from U.N.C.L.E. go in that direction because of money. Keep in mind, Man from U.N.C.L.E. has been a serious spy drama with plots to destroy the world and tons of action and plots to overthrow the government. So in season 3 they became very campy and silly like the Adam West show, and that started the downfall of their series. About 10-15 episodes of season 3 were bad comedies void of action and adventure. And it was those 10-15 episodes of Man from U.N.C.L.E. that were the absolute worst of the show. The worst being when Napoleon was in a treehouse in the jungle, dancing with a Tarzan lady who looked like a supermodel, not a dirty jungle person, and a gorilla in the worst gorilla costume I've ever seen. I was mortified watching that. Think about this in modern terms. Imagine you go to see John Wick 5 and it's just him dancing with a guy in a Spirit Halloween tiger costume. That's what this was. And the rest of the episodes were just like that. I mean, the gorilla was the bottom of the barrel, but the others came very close. Of course, this change in tone didn't go over with the fans of the show, who enjoyed the serious storytelling and epic spy adventures. People left in droves, and the ones that kept watching sent letters of outrage to the studio. So after those episodes, they realized their mistake and switched back to what was working. I mean, the whole thing was incredibly dumb. If what you were doing was working, why would you change it? Season 4 went back to what was working, and thank goodness for that, and that season is my favorite. Sadly, the show was cancelled because season 3 had alienated the core fan base and the network wanted to go in a different direction. The finale also didn't feel like a finale because it was never meant to be one, so it's very sad how the show went down. There were 3 attempts to revive Man from U.N.C.L.E. after the series ended though. The first being a spin-off series called Girl from U.N.C.L.E., starring U.N.C.L.E. agent April Dancer, played by Stephanie Powers. It stars, as I've said, a girl working for U.N.C.L.E. going on missions and stopping Thrush. You know the drill. They originally had Dancer in the Man from U.N.C.L.E. show, starring in a backdoor pilot. They're played by Mary Ann Mobley, and I thought it was a great episode. I've never seen the official Girl from U.N.C.L.E. series because it's hard to track down, but safe to say it wasn't around that long, only lasting 1 season, but I bet it was alright for the time. 20 years after the show was cancelled, Robert Vaughn and David McCullum returned for the Man from U.N.C.L.E. movie. It was a great throwback to the original show that I enjoyed so much. It really felt like the proper ending we were robbed of when the show was cancelled. What made this especially noteworthy was the fact that we had a cameo from George Lazenby, who at the time was playing James Bond. And that's the character he's playing here. Like, they don't say his name here, they call him JB, but come on, it's James Bond. He's got his suit, his car, and the characterization is the same. It's James Bond. How crazy was that? James Bond helping Napoleon Solo and Ilya Kuryakin. Today, that would be like Tom Cruise's Ethan Hunt from Mission Impossible teaming up with John Wick. That's how crazy this was. Even though the movie was just as incredible as the show, it didn't make enough money to bring back the series, so once again, we were in limbo. I should also mention that this was a different time for movies and TV. Right now, people are obsessed with their nostalgia from the 80s, 90s, 2000s, but back then, people usually just moved on to the next thing. The last attempt to revive the brand was a reboot movie starring Henry Cavill, and it's not good. The thing that made Man from U.N.C.L.E. so special was that it was a TV show with a movie caliber budget. It was literally like watching a 40-minute spy movie every week. This film, however, is nothing. It's the most generic spy movie you could possibly think of, as well as a blatant Hollywood cash grab. Take a somewhat recognizable IP IP, hire an A-list actor, and cash in on people's nostalgia. It left no impression after it was done. I don't think anyone even remembers the film. I certainly didn't, and this wasn't that long ago. It was 2015. So the movie was a letdown, and it didn't make its money back, so Man from U.N.C.L.E. continues to be in limbo. I think the ideal way to bring Man from U.N.C.L.E. back is literally what they did before. Give the show a movie budget, get excellent writers, the best actors from Hollywood, and make it the most fun and interesting spy show on television or streaming. Even if Man from U.N.C.L.E. never comes back, no one can take away how influential and important this series was to television, changing the game and pushing boundaries on what could be done on TV. Before this, you were either a Western or a comedy, but this show proved you could do anything on television. That is why it deserves the title of the greatest TV show ever. I highly recommend this show, and I hope this video gets you to check it out. It's available on YouTube, DVDs, and Amazon Prime, so be sure to check it out. And if you think another show deserves the title of the greatest of all time, let me know in the comments below. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all later.